Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 147 of the Far End of the Bench podcast. This week, I got my Redwoods throwback jersey on. We just came from the University of Denver, Peter Barton Stadium this past weekend. Things were electric, but I wanted to talk about the experience and how proud I am of the level of lacrosse and how my state has become. Because for those that don't know, lacrosse is the East Coast sport. There's zero doubt about that. All the big time schools are in the New Jersey, New York, Long Island, Philadelphia, Baltimore area, not so much in our little mile high state here in the 303. But however, what was produced, what was shown on the field this past weekend, shows that this sport is growing so much and so rapidly in my state. And having grown up playing the sport, having grown up watching the sport, it is amazing to see the likes of Trevor Baptiste, Eric Law, Jack Hanna, Ethan Walker, a company, just Wes Berg, just to name a few guys who came back into their home stadium and at Peter Barton Stadium and became that next level DU players that are taking the league by storm. So I could not be more proud of the way the city showed up. We including the likes of Russell Wilson. Funny enough, it's unfortunate he's wearing a Kansas jersey. Was that the reason why we won? Maybe, maybe not. That's for you to decide. But like I said, I could not be more proud and more excited to see where the game of lacrosse is growing towards and where what it'll continue to grow towards, especially in the state that I live in. Now, let's get to the rest of the episode.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
For those of you questioning whether or not I was a ride or die, that is, I've been converted. I still like the Water Dogs. It's hard not to, especially with they do have quite a few DU players. We were sitting in front of Jack Hanna's friends and family, so all we heard about was "Let's go 3, get it 3, get in there 3." So I knew what number he was and who they were rooting for very quickly. He also scored a hat trick in the first half. So I think in the first game, the DU players, like you were saying, combined for all the offense.
Six of the first 9 goals, pause on that. 6 of the first 9 goals were all DU guys. Trevor Baptiste, who was the MVP last year, who leads the league in faceoff percentage, went to DU, had his first ever hat trick, which is crazy too to think about how long he's played for. But yeah, DU guys were full on force. Wes Berg, another DU guy who for us. Had a hell of a weekend as well. I think he had 2 goals, a couple of assists. Like it was a University of Denver weekend, especially Saturday night.
Yeah, this is episode 147. Nico said it a couple times. Far end of the bench. Thank you guys for tuning in. Jimmy Pilato, Nico Bryant. We're obviously talking about the PLL weekend that was in Denver. We have I got a couple videos that I put together that we're going to show. There might even be a surprise appearance by one of our favorite PLL correspondents, but I'm going to keep that under wraps. If you were following us, which everybody should, at FEOTB Pod, it's in mine and Nico's little title description. It's down at the bottom where you see the ticker. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, follow on all social media platforms. It's one of the pictures that I did. It did make its way to the story, and people enjoyed it. And that's why too. We get to talk PLL because we were just there. B, playoffs are heating up. We're going to see all but one team makes it to the playoffs. If I'm
Last 2
not
weeks of the
mistaken.
regular seasons, these next 2 weeks, I'll be in Seattle this week, Salt Lake City next week, then a long week, and then Labor Day weekend will be in Boston. So it's heating up. It's heating up quick.
2 short trips and then a really long trip to go sit with some obnoxious massholes for 2 days. Nico, you have the life that all of us just dream for, don't you? Except
right?
This past weekend, it truly was. You got to sleep in your own bed. It was only a 20-minute, it's a quick jaunt down to the stadium.
5-10 minute drive, not even, like living right now down the street, playing in front of friends and family, which is amazing. Like literally, like I said, winning. When I tweeted this out, being at home is fun. Winning at home, there's not much that like it, okay? Like having that feeling of, yeah, fuck yeah, we just won, beat the number 2 team in the league, quote unquote, a team that beat your ass 2 weeks ago. It was, oh man, there's nothing better. Nothing better.
It was needed. You guys, the Redwoods specifically, were in need of a little bit of a bounce back. We talked about the major trade that happened, and it paid dividends in both games because Williams was the guy that the Redwoods traded.
No,
Williams
Miles Jones went to
Miles
the
Jones,
Atlas, and Romar
went to
Dennis went to the Atlas. Yep.
and Jones made his presence felt on the Atlas. He was involved in a lot of the plays. They didn't end up getting the win because Dylan Ward is a wizard. I don't know. He's kick saving lacrosse balls. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't realize kick saves were a thing in lacrosse. I thought if they shot low, you just let it bounce and hopefully they miss. That shows you the level of.
That is the box lacrosse in him. Obviously, playing the indoor game here for the Colorado Mammoth, like it is second nature for those type of stops. It's weird saying that, but that's second nature to him. Like he is like one of the top level goalies, not only in outdoor but the indoor game too, and it goes to show.
Yeah, he proved it. And you had, I think you've converted my brother. He's getting home from his first day of school, so I haven't been able to 100% ask him yet. We're recording this on Tuesday. You've converted me. I told you with the playoffs coming up and the fact that almost every team has a chance to make it into the tournament, and then once you get to the tournament, all bets are off. I'm going to be paying attention to the standings at the very least, but I could see myself. I mean, I watched the end of the Redwoods game. Dom and I left a little bit early because we were taking the light rail, and I have some stories that we could share. Well, I'll probably save those for Sunday Scaries, but let's just say myself, I'm not intimidated by much. I seen almost everything and I can deal with a lot. There was a guy with his tinfoil. You can guess what was in his tinfoil. He also had a lighter. He never got it lit, but he was sitting on the other end of the train and he was having some weird kind of fit. That was at 8:30. So if we left after the game with all the drunk people that were there, because trust me, the booze was a flowing. There was no bar down lounge, but the Lax Bros can find a party.
Lax Bros will find a party. There is zero doubt about that. But yeah, to go back on what you're saying, the end of that game, it was, like I said, it was one of the wildest experiences of a game I've ever been to. Like I'm not going to put it up with game 5 of the NBA Finals. Nuggets are still NBA champions, by the way. But I will put it up in the fact that it's one of those excitements of a game that 8 minutes of nonstop overtime. 8 minutes of nonstop overtime is just wild. I kid you not, my Apple Watch I had on said you need to slow down your heart rate like 4 times in that 8 minutes. Like I was losing my mind. Back and forth, no stops, no timeouts. First score, basically sudden death. Like, luckily Charlie Bertrand Charlie Bertrand had a hell of a shot off the right side on the run. Like it was a beautiful, beautiful pull from him. It's funny. I guess I can say this now because he's fully healthy. But a little insider knowledge. On Friday during practice, he could not do a shooting drill because his wrist was hurting him too much. Found out 24 hours later he pulls and has that game winner. So luckily Charlie's doing a lot better, so injury doesn't matter. But it was just funny that conversation was there, and we were like, oh shit, that's kind of funny. Like literally 24 hours ago we were like, dude, what the fuck? Like you're injured. What are we doing here? And here he is 24 hours later, obviously totally fine. So glad to see Charlie fully healthy now, back in the lineup. We're not back in the lineup, but back fully healthy. But it was a weird turn of events, is all I'll say.
It's so hard for me to spend all day with 12-year-olds and then for us to talk about lacrosse, because what you just said was that your guy was hurt because he spent too much time playing with his stick and his wrist was sore.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right context, that sounds wildly inappropriate. And I have a hard time not laughing. It's like Gronkowski every time he sees the number 6 and 9 somewhat close together. It could be 6 to 9%, and he'll still tell you nice. But that's where I'm at with the lacrosse. But what I noticed in person, and I guess it's just me being naive, and maybe it doesn't show as well on TV, or it does, and I just haven't caught a good game. But the skill level and the similarities I told you to hockey and how different teams play. The Water Dogs have Sowers, and they have a lot of little guys that kind of just get lost in front of the other team's opposing goal, and they cycle the puck a couple times, find who's going to be open. Sowers had like 4 or 5 tap-ins that he missed 2 of them. I think he still had a hat trick as well. Everybody had a hat trick, it seemed like, on the Water Dogs this weekend. And you can see that similarity. And then the Atlas were big, and they wanted to be physical and try and drive the ball to the net. So that's what they tried to do. And then obviously the Cannons, with a familiar face that we went to high school with. I think he was a year or 2 behind us, Asher Nolting. He turned into a man and almost unstoppable. I have kids in my class that are high level lacrosse players. They're like, who played? You knew Asher Nolting? I was like, you don't really know people at Cherry Creek because there's too many people. But he was there when I was there. He
Oh,
was
Asher
he's a
Asher is
stud.
Asher is a one of a kind person. He's a super nice guy, and I obviously got a chance to play with him, and I could not be more happy for him because, like I said, he's one of the best players in the league right now. Like there's zero denying that. Like what he's doing on the field, like the Cannons where they are. One of the reasons where they are right now is because of him, and he has done an absolutely excellent job putting that team in the right direction. Like I said, he's a guy that if I had an MVP vote and if he was in the conversation, he'd be in the conversation for it, and he would be there for at the award ceremony, possibly with a chance to win. Do I think he wins it? Probably not, but he deserves to be in the conversation. He's like I said, one of a kind person, one of a kind player. All he does for Cherry Creek lacrosse in general, like he's done an excellent job growing the game.
And he's doing it in a spot that needs it. I was talking to a few of the kids that are on my football team. One, our center, it made it to the junior mammoth, so he's actually going to Toronto this weekend. And we were talking to her. Her son is going to Utah because it's either Utah or Utah State just kind of picked up D1 lacrosse, and they're
University
one
of Utah.
university. So he's going out there. He's going to try and play for the Utes. But we were talking. She said, a lot of the kids, especially out of like Asher is the aberration because guys from Colorado, when you have to go to the East Coast, lacrosse is preppy already. I mean, your dad and I had those conversations. There's a lot of money in the stands at lacrosse events. And yeah, so we've had that conversation. It's preppy already. There's a lot of old money when you go out to those places and you can't go home for breaks. Like if you're going to one of those schools like a Johns Hopkins or even a UVA, because it's big out there and that's a public university, you're getting parents that have money and then they can pay for their kids to go home for breaks and they're not having to stay on campus. And you're just, as much as you think you want to be away in college, it's nice to have that ability to go home every now and then. And Notre Dame started it. DU's picked it up. Utah, hopefully their program is able to find their footing. I think it can grow. Like I have plenty of kids that are playing lacrosse and would like to try and go further with their lacrosse. But right now it's very difficult because even DU, it's close, but it's a private school. There's a lot of money. And if you're not in that club, it could be a little bit hard to stick it out.
Yeah, it could be very difficult to get where you want to be, specifically on the West Coast. Like I said, California kids. There are a lot of players that live in California and play in California in the box game. But I will say, obviously, not having a major D1 school that or major D1 program / conference on the West Coast it does make it a lot difficult. DU obviously broke the stigma, and I believe it was 2015 was the first one, or maybe it was before that. I broke the stigma about being that new wave of championships on the West Coast. But like I said, it's a long ways to go. But I'm very, very proud of the way Eric Law, Asher Nolting, Wes Berg, Jack Hanna, Ethan Walkers of the world have grown the sport here in Colorado specifically, and really done a great job of building it to where it is now.
Yeah, DU, I looked it up. So it started as a club sport in 1966. So they were ahead of the curve then because everything, like it was all club. There was no NCAA lacrosse in 1966. They turned D1 in 1999. So they've had quite a bit of a run in the D1 level. And I think the last time, or at least what I saw on the scoreboard, was 2015 was their last men's Division I lacrosse championship. So they've kind of like how their hockey program is, because hockey is another one of those sports where DU is now an option, and it's not an option in any of the other schools
DU
in our
is
area.
One of the options. It's not an option.
Yeah,
it's one of the options. I saw, obviously, being in Magnus Arena where all those locker rooms, all of our locker rooms were, like they have 4 of the last 8 or 7 national championships. Like DU is a sick hockey program. Like the hockey and lacrosse is no longer an East Coast whatever thing. It's like it's grown so far west you wouldn't believe.
I think it has, and it's still got room to grow. And I think that's why it's awesome that the PLL makes Denver a stop. And I don't know if it's been released yet, but I would assume that Denver is going to have a city.
It'll be a city. Like I look, it's not sources that I have saying you guarantee be a city, but like we've been here now 3 years in a row, sold out 2 years in a row. Obviously, we went to Springs 3 years ago, but it continually sells out. And the amount of players in DU, players from here and there, DU is a hotbed. So I would be highly highly surprised if the Denver doesn't get a team, in my opinion.
And I saw people from like Fort Collins, which they're making a 2-hour drive to DU's campus to experience it. And Dom and I walked around. We got there a little bit before the gates opened, and we walked around like the festival set up. And I mentioned they didn't have the bar down lounge, but they had their sponsors set up, which is awesome because you can get some local sponsors along with the ones that kind of carry your league. And they had a dunk tank, so kids are throwing the lacrosse ball out of a lacrosse stick instead of throwing it like a baseball. Honestly, if PLL continues like this and MLB continues on the trajectory that it's on, which lacrosse is almost basically the same level right now. I think other than the fact that Coors Field is such a nice place to go to, DU was a much hotter ticket, and there was a Rockies series this weekend. It was, I bet you had to do more to get those PLL tickets than we would have had to get last minute Rockies tickets.
You're not wrong about that, but I will say we are a long ways away from being the fifth sport. I'm never going to put baseball that low. Baseball has been on a downward trajectory obviously because we don't fucking talk about it. But look, we're still trying to reach that MLS stage, and I know that's weird saying that's the goal right now, but think of where the MLS is right now with Messi and David Beckham and all these different sponsors and league things. We're trying to get to that point. I think we're getting there. It's going to take some time, but like I said, we're on the right trajectory. Absolutely are.
Yeah, and speaking of the MLS, I did a little bit of research today. They started with only 10 teams, and they've expanded all the way to 28. So the PLL starting with 6. They've already expanded after they took over MLL and we're able to take a couple of the brands from there. And I do think that it's as they introduce more host cities and continue with the tour models, because you can maybe extend some things, do some special promotions in the off season. I mean, if you give these guys the option to play lacrosse year round, I'm pretty sure they would take it. A lot of them do play box.
They basically already do. Well, yeah, they basically already do. That's not even because now
just put the money out there so we don't have to have the second job when you play box.
That's fair. I could not agree more.
Look at me. I'm throwing out PLL wisdom. I'm good to. So I have videos of the Atlas intro and the Water Dogs intro that give a little video preview, and then you'll see the teams running out. And I got that video coming up. Do you have anything else you want to say before?
I don't like the Water Dogs because they're not the Woods. So like I said,
I get it. I watched the Woods from my own eyes. I was locked in. I wanted that. I
saw you running out of the tunnel, hitting all the kids high fives. I was walking out.
Yeah, so and we were always like, "Where's Niko? Oh, wait, where does he have to replace the ball? There he is.
Yeah, there he is. There's a place the ball,
down to the corner. He's got to go 50 yards that way, and then he's got to.
I said I get my steps in. I hit 40,000 steps a weekend usually. I get my steps in. Trust me.
Yeah. You'll see the excitement level. This was the early game Saturday. This was game 3 of 4, but all 4 games were pretty incredible. Came down to the wire, and maybe we'll even talk about after the video. The one thing I want to mention is how do you guys get hit with those sticks? But I want to play the video, and then we'll talk about that because that's a good jumping off point to move on. But here's a little bit of the PLL atmosphere from the weekend.
Fans, please welcome the Atlas Lacrosse Club. And now, the Water Dogs Lacrosse Club.
It's only funny that picture because the face I got, you were locked in, but the face I got, you were like, God damn it! If somebody screams ball at me one more goddamn time,
I'm like, you
I'm gonna
motherfuckers,
lose it.
leave me alone. Like, come on. I like ball. I cover your hat. I got asked for my stick that I was holding. Like, I asked for the shirt off my back. Like, I was like,
Yeah,
no.
I was gonna say when we were walking out, there was a guy in just one of the PLL polos, and a kid asked him for his shirt. He's like, "No, this is the only one I have."
Like, no, I've gotten to a point where I just tell a kid no. I laughed. I literally laughed. They see. I've heard nice mustache. Can I have your hat? I'm like, no. Thank you for the compliment, but no. Oh, you can't have the hat. No, you can't have the jersey. No, you can't. Look, you'll be lucky if I give you a ball if you're nice about it. Okay, and then I'll think about it.
Yeah, all you guys, jokes on you. Niko yelled my name to give me a ball because I was too busy caught looking around and people watching. So that is one of the balls from the weekend. I like that they're not just a white ball because obviously it's a little bit hard to track. But
That's true.
and I also have nightmares about these things. Like when I bounce it, I know I have to bounce it once and catch it because if it picks up spin from that first initial bounce, I might be screwed. I've been hit in the face more than one time with this thing.
I don't know if you saw the picture of Jack Roulette from the first game. He has, if you pull up the picture,
yes, no, that's
the whole lacrosse stick from Zed Williams' shot is literally, you can see the outline on his body because of how badly he got hit there. Like it was literally, I've been hit by a lacrosse ball full speed before. It's not fun. Okay. I could not imagine the head of the lacrosse stick whipping around that hard to get hit in the stomach. It literally will knock the living wind out of you.
Yeah, I don't think I can get a picture uploaded fast enough, and I don't want to test the Wi-Fi, but we'll post it. So we'll post the video. We're posting the podcast on Thursdays, obviously, and when we post it, we'll also retweet that picture because when I saw it, and it's a blade, like they're sharp. The end of the stick,
not super sharp, but it is like literally. It's
when you get smacked that hard, it looked like it had to be a long stick guy because it looked like he was down at the.
If you look at Zed Williams, he's a big motherfucker. Like Zed is, he plays for the Mammoth, but he is not one small dude. He's strong.
No. I think the guy that hit him had the long stick because it looked like he was all the way down at the bottom. He was literally just.
I know it was a shorty because of the angle he threw it at, but either way, it's still like it. That shit whips so quick, and
it's bright red.
The fastest shot was 120. I think it was 121 or 122. A couple of weeks ago at the All-Star game, it was calculated. These guys, it's not, baseball pitchers throw 98, 95 miles per hour. This is a 120 mile per hour rubber ball. It's not fucking much different, okay?
Covered
it hurts still.
Yeah. Rubber ball on the outside under concrete, and then that same. If you've ever unraveled a baseball, that cork is hard. The one that makes the baseballs as hard as they are, they use something similar in the lacrosse balls, and it's so goddamn hard that they put concrete around it to soften the blow. Yeah, you heard that right.
It hurts. It hurts. Okay.
You do not play wall ball with the lacrosse ball.
You wear a cup also. You also wear a cup constantly. I also play wall ball with a lacrosse ball, but that's a different story. Either way, you have to wear a cup as a defender.
We shouldn't promote. We can't promote that.
Yeah. You will not play. You will not have kids if you don't wear a cup as a defender or goalie with lacrosse. All Jimmy's students that listen.
Yeah, and also when you're playing baseball, because I was a pitcher and I don't know how, but I threw one and it hit the back corner edge of the plate and it bounced perfectly. My catcher was wearing a cup and he happened to wear the biggest cup on the team still, like just for that extra protection. And I found after it hit the corner of that plate, it found the one spot that it wasn't covering and he went to the hospital. It wasn't, I was only throwing about 75 at the time, but it hits you directly in the pills, even off of a ricochet. I'm gonna take the ambulance ride. It's just I need to pop in, get an aspirin, make sure that I'm still intact down there. This is not what I expected my weekend to be.
No, not at all.
I'm very happy that no balls went in the stands. I was honestly, with as close as you are, I was sitting in the second row up from where the stands start in Peter Barton Stadium. I almost had it as a guarantee, like who's catching the lacrosse ball in the face. Somebody's going. It's going to go wild.
They're accurate. They're very accurate. The only times the ball ever ricochets that way is if it hits off the pipe, and the pipes are pretty forgiving in regards to where it goes. So,
the last question that I had because it confused the hell out of me when I first saw it in warm-ups. So when they warm up, do the goalies make them, or do they just do it on their own? Do they put the practice net in there because the goalie's
No,
so super?
we do that. So because we don't want guys warming up to rip the net in pregame.
I
So
thought it
yeah,
was the goalies. Like, I
no.
can't have a ball in the net, otherwise I'm going to be off for the entire night. So you better make
That-
sure that you put
yeah.
like a practice net. And if somebody hits the golden shot, I'm going to be pissed.
Maybe that has a factor into it, but I'm just telling you why we do it, and that's because because the camera also there's also
Yeah.
cameras in the net for replay and all that stuff for TV. So like you don't want those getting broken either. So it's a couple of things. Maybe it does help with the goalie psyche. I don't know. They're crazy motherfuckers. So you might be right, but I just know I'm telling you the reason why I do it, why we have to put it out.
I always think a little bit more of the sports psychology behind things. That's one of the assets and also one of my detriments that I bring as a coach. Now, I have kids on the wrestling teams like, you're my favorite coach to have in my corner when I lose. I was like, I don't think that's a good thing. I guess it is a good thing because I can talk you through a loss and you're not going to hate yourself. But I don't want you to, when you see me over there, be like, okay, it's good if I lose this one. That's not what I'm going for. Have you read anything on this? Do you know the Blindsided story that's been coming out?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna let all the details come out, but because apparently, obviously, like the family that adopted him, quote unquote, stole money from him from the movie. Blah blah blah. I also heard reports that the father currently sold a $230 million company that he owns. So it's not necessarily that he needs the money. I heard that also. So there's a lot of weird things going about it. Obviously, one of the classic football movies of our childhood basically is a myth now, so that's no fun.
It's both of them because Remember the Titans was a lot more rosy than
It
the
definitely
real life
was,
story was.
but it was definitely one that we all were like, oh shit, we got to go watch this. It's a football movie, but yeah, it is unfortunate. Like I said, I hope both sides are able to figure it out, but it's unfortunately people try to take advantage of people both ways, players and families as agents. So I hope that it all gets resolved out because, like I said, it does not look like a good situation.
Yeah, obviously it's not confirmed with the details, but what I've seen so far is Michael Orr's suing the Tui family because in the movie they say they adopted him, and I'm thinking back because I read the book that the movie was based on, and I also read Michael Orr's autobiography, and I want to say that he said that they adopted him in both of those, but then now it's coming out he's suing them because instead of adopting him, all they did was sign a conservatorship, so they had some control of his money. And honestly, if it's just that they wanted to make sure that he's a kid from the most awful situation you can imagine. And what happens in those situations normally, I mean, we talked about John Morant, where you go from a certain place with nothing and you get thrust into a place where you have a lot, you can get yourself in trouble. So if it's just they signed a conservatorship after they adopted him to maybe control and make sure that he had money, that makes sense because in my mind, they're taking on the responsibility of clothing, feeding you, keeping you clothed, and giving you a space to live and accomplish something that is a 1 in a million shot. There's a reason everybody loves that movie. Like Sandra Bullock was a great actress, but it's the story of coming from nothing and getting to where
something.
a lot of people, like you were drafted in the first round. NFL career might not have been what people expected, but that's even just to get to that point. He had so much that he overcame. So,
Absolutely, and look, that none of that should be overshadowed. Like it's still a story that he overcame a lot of struggles. It seems as though all this stuff is around the Stan movie, which makes the movie even more intriguing of like how it was done and everything. But
who's
like
going to get the money from the Netflix documentary is the next fight.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the Johnny Manziel documentary, but like I said, people are craving for these documentaries because that's some of these guys' next biggest payday. Manti Te'o documentary, Johnny Manziel documentary, which I watched as well. Like
Jake Paul, I watched that
Paul, Conor McGregor. That's basically all he does now is make documentaries about himself, and lose on the Ultimate Fighter. That's literally where he's at in his career.
He won one fight. They won one fight.
I got that going for them. But yeah, it is wild that what these documentaries and movies have become because, like I said, it's become money grabs. And there's a lot of great stories to be told, but you have to do it the right way.
Yeah, I like it's that Untold series, and they did the Trashers, which was interesting, especially because it came out when the Avalanche were on their playoff run. So I watched that one where the Jimmy Galante, who was a mob associate up in Connecticut. He bought an AHL team and named his 17-year-old son president. It's like, yeah, come on, Dad. I want a team. Make me general manager. I'll stop going to school. I'll go to work. That was a good one. The Manziel one I liked. Manziel, I can't. So here's the thing. I think the Florida one comes out this week, and I know that you're busy. I'm going to do my best to make sure that I see it. And then if you're able to watch it, we can talk about it next week.
I'm sure that one is incredible because the amount of shit that went down during that one. The Manziel one I thought was just crazy. It made me almost like Johnny Manziel even more because all the shit he got away with. As weird as
I went the opposite way. And I wasn't mad that he got the money from the autographs, and I get like he had to lie because he wasn't breaking a law. He didn't break a law, but
look, was he an idiot? Yeah, he was. Was he a jackass? Yeah, he was. Was he making the most out of his time? Absolutely. Like the kid knew that he had the talent to possibly do great things. He had the talent. Like, look. Did you see how much money the report of how much money Texas A&M created because of Johnny Football? Upwards of $65 billion. Johnny Manziel, like the reason Texas A&M has this brand new half of the stadium because of him. The reason why the jerseys are being sold number 2 on the back is because of him. The reason the entrance rate or the application rate at Texas A&M went up because of him. Like luckily we are at a point now where we can work off of their image and likeness, but at that point, he was the biggest name in college sports, like the biggest. There was no one bigger than him. And did he fuck up his football career? Absolutely, he did. But the guy made money and made a living off of what he could at the time. Because right now, look, the most amount of money he's making right now is because of that documentary. He got some fucking dough at the time, and there's a lot of guys that were in his position that just fucking fell off the face of the earth because and had working 9-to-5 jobs because they were the biggest thing in college football, never became anything in the NFL. And that's all they could atone for was I'm gonna go work a 9-to-5 sales job now because I couldn't make money off my image likeness. Guys like Tim Tebow, who obviously didn't amount to anything in the NFL. Luckily, he's been able to pave himself his own career. But I'm glad Johnny Football was able to make his money. Did he do it the right way? Probably not. Definitely not. Was it very shady? Absolutely. But like I said, for as big of a name as he was, I'm glad to see he got paid what he was worth.
Oh, I have no issue. He definitely deserves some kind of money because he's earned the school over $750 million just in donations since he was out there. That's not sales off of his merchandise or his memorabilia or anything like that. So yes, he was getting the money that he deserved at that point. My thing and where I kind of lost it was when he went to the NFL. He only went there because he knew he couldn't come up with another lie to skirt the NCAA. If it was today, he wouldn't have had that issue. But I can't excuse the 2 years in Cleveland that you were a complete shitbag and an asshole to everyone. And listen, people deal with their depression and mental illness, and I'm going to chalk it up to that because he said it in his documentary. He planned to live for a summer, and then he was going to stop living at the end of that summer. He was going to blow all the money that he had made up until that point, and luckily he found a way to get through that, which is good for him. But the addicts will tell you this too, and this is why I don't think Johnny Manziel's fully apologized or fully got his comeuppance for what happened. Addicts won't ask you to excuse who they were during that time. They will atone for their mistakes. They will try and make themselves better, and that's what their push is for. Johnny Manziel is he's an attention seeker. He's still attention seeking, and I'm not ready to forgive the 2 years of Johnny McAsshole after Johnny Football in the NFL.
I could care less about the Browns. Obviously, you face them twice a year, so that's why I could give.
I didn't. It wasn't because I was scared. I wish he played against them. I wish he did, but
this is the same amount of hours I give a fuck about Johnny Manziel on the Browns. The same amount of hours he spent on his iPad. Okay, watching film. Okay, is all I'll say. Look, I'm glad now that he's at a point where he's living and doing things for his mental health and trying to get his life back on track. Obviously, it's a long way up. That's how I see it. Was he a fucking shitbag? Absolutely, he was. But when you have that high of an ego where no one can touch you, that sometimes the star players get to that point, and it's sad.
It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. He's good. He announced after that documentary came out that he's opening a nightclub in the Arizona area. That's where he's been living. So yeah, well, he's picking the right demographic. And if you're going to go to a bar in a college town, why wouldn't you go to Johnny Football's bar? I'll go to Johnny Football's and watch the game and drink whatever kind of cocktails that they're going to serve. So it seems like he's on the right track. But it wasn't that I honestly wish that he would have played against the Bengals more, because we probably would have won a few more games with Andy Dalton. It wasn't that I was afraid to play against him. It's the not taking it seriously and not like owning up to it. Like, yeah, you explained to us what was going wrong, but you didn't necessarily seem like it was a problem. You celebrated pissing away half of the country's dream. It rubbed me the wrong way. Let's talk before we move on from college football. The rankings did drop. We're just going to quickly mention. We'll talk a little bit more about the top. Let's say top 7, because it is a case that we haven't had for a little bit of time. So number 1, 2-time defending national champion Georgia. It's going to be tough to dethrone them. I don't see them having any issue with their schedule until maybe October when they play Tennessee, but even that's going to be a different game this year. Then you got Michigan, Ohio State at 2 and 3, Alabama at 4, LSU at 5. SC is up there at 6. That's a little bit of the Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams bump, and then Penn State's at 7. So those 3 teams in the Big Ten East, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, it is the first time that we have 3 teams in the same division in college football in the top 10 since I want to say it was 2006 SEC, which it wasn't even Alabama then. It was Florida, it was South Carolina, and I think it was Georgia at number 5. So Big Ten East might be the toughest division, especially at the top of college football. And it's hard for me to maybe at this point predict. It's not going to be one of those 3 in the national championship against Georgia. That's what I'm saying. They're going to make it to the national championship.
Four Big Ten schools, not 3.
No, Big Ten East. Big Ten East this year.
Okay. I'm just making sure you know.
They're still Pac-12. You're not going to give the Pac-12 its swan song season?
For another year. It says ride it off in the ship season. That's where we're at with them.
They should. Honestly, if the Pac-12 was smart, they would put everything behind USC, because that's the only team that I could see currently in the Pac-12 structure that would have a shot. They should put all of their eggs behind that USC basket and win a championship on the way out.
They're not coming back, so you better hope what you can out of USC, and better hope what you can out of UCLA in basketball or in Oregon to win you something, because, like I said, this is your last chance at anything. And like I said, USC, Caleb Williams, it could be the first, I think, 2-time winner ever. I don't know. You said there was second ever, whatever. So like that could be very exciting. That could be empowering him alone. Like I said, it's an easy schedule for them. Like they don't play Big Ten schedule for another year, or maybe it's 2 years. I don't know when exactly, but they don't play for another year. So this is their chance to have one of those records where you're like, holy shit, this team could be a 4 seed or a 3 seed or whatever. Because Ohio State and Michigan are going to beat up on each other last game of the year. That'll drop one of them out. Georgia and Alabama will play each other. So look who's there, USC. All of a sudden, like it's wild, but that's where we are.
Yeah. Just do what the Pac-12 can never seem to do: win your conference schedule, then hide in the weeds, win your conference championship, and then you could possibly. Washington did it. Washington set the blueprint.
Oregon was
done.
Good at it too.
Oregon had a couple years where they were able to do it when Mariota wasn't leaving the team for injuries, because he wouldn't have done that at Oregon. So those are the top 7. Florida State's coming in at 8, Clemson 9, Washington 10. From there, we go Texas, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Utah, Oregon. So Pac-12 actually has 3 teams in the top 15 in their final year of existence.
Good job. Slow clap for that.
16, Kansas State. Actually, I would say they're probably my favorite to win the Big 10 or Big 12. Wow, Big 12 over Texas this season. I would give Kansas State the better shot for that. TCU behind them at 17. Go ahead.
Texas plays Alabama week 1. That will either A, tell you where Alabama's at, or B, tell you where Texas is at.
It's in Alabama this year, so I don't think Texas is going to have that miracle in them like they did last season.
Oh, Quinn Ewers, who knows? If he plays a full game, who knows? Maybe Archie Manning. Well, Archie Manning will play in the SEC next year, so never mind. That really doesn't matter.
No, they should. If I was the Manning family, I would make sure that they redshirt him this season. If he hasn't redshirted already, we don't want to play the last year in the Big 12. We want to wait till the SEC. Oregon State 18, so that's 4 if you're keeping track at home. Teams for the Pac-12 in the top 25. Wisconsin at 19, Oklahoma at 20, North Carolina, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Tulane at 24, and then Iowa rounds out the 25 just for the AP. I'm not looking at the coaches poll. That's just the AP top 25. I think they were kind of grasping for straws down at the end. I will say
TCU's not top 25 at all.
No, they are. They're 17. They're right behind Kansas State. But that's that's okay. I'm okay with that because TCU is going to struggle.
Oh, they're going to struggle.
It's a small school. You can't just replace Max Duggan in the
Is that
leadership.
the biggest drop off from a national championship loss though? Like think about the years past, like teams that lost, they were still at least top 10, right?
Yeah,
like, that's got to be the biggest. Am I saying it's warranted? Yeah, absolutely, it's warranted. They lost a lot of guys, but still, that's got to be the biggest drop off.
Well, it just proves what we were saying at the end of last season. They got into the playoff and they were in the position that they finished in because of the way they ended their season, and their performance on the field. Because going into the season, they weren't ranked. Nobody was giving them a second thought. And by the end of it, they were in the Big 12 championship. Max Duggan was a Heisman finalist. And if it wasn't for Caleb Williams, and I've heard people call him one of the greatest athletes to play in college football, we could say Max Duggan could be in that position. If he wins the Big 12 championship, he might have won the Heisman Trophy as well. I would say, yeah, from a team that was in the championship game, this is the biggest drop-off in terms of rankings. I think Cincinnati might have had a further just drop, but they obviously lost in the semifinal.
It was also just a sore eye because no one remembers the game. The game was over by the second quarter. I honestly cannot tell you what happened in the game. I did not.
I just know Cincinnati lost big. That was about all I remember from that one.
I just stopped watching it. It was just
worst game I've watched, and I actually enjoyed watching the LSU game when Joe Burrow scored all the touchdowns against Oklahoma. Him and Jamar Chase and Terrace Marshall.
That was a good game though.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because that offense was so fun to watch. But that's up until the Cincinnati Alabama game. That was the biggest mismatch that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was just Georgia just being like, "Who the fuck is this team? Michigan, you lost with these guys? Like what?"
Yeah. I don't think Georgia. Here's the thing. Unfortunately, I said it. Their SEC schedule is not going to be tough. If
Georgia doesn't go undefeated this season, like it'll be the biggest fuck up. I don't care who they have quarterback, but literally they have too much talent. So look at the schedule and be like, we're playing who, when, we're playing who, what. Like they don't go undefeated. Like it'll be massive, drastic. If they don't finish, they start. If they don't finish the season as number 1, I'd be highly surprised. Is all I'm gonna say.
They had a face of the franchise character at quarterback for the last 2 years, who's been in college forever. You want to know a wild stat? Sony Michel and Stetson Bennett were freshmen together at the University of Georgia.
Sony Michel retired, yeah.
He retired from the Rams, and Stetson Bennett just made his preseason debut for the Rams. So
it's wild, but the man has 2 national championships under his belt. He's a Georgia legend.
All I'm trying to say is that whoever was at quarterback for the last 2 years, anybody could have won a national championship with that goddamn defense.
That's probably fair.
And that defense is still going to be
probably fair.
He did have that obviously, and they'd have Bowers back, the tight end, who's going to be the number 1 tight end drafted in this year's draft. He's like Kyle Pitts, except he works harder and he can actually block. So they have they have the team to be able to go back and be in the SEC championship. And then I don't know what Alabama is going to look like because it seems like their quarterback position is still not decided. Nick Saban doesn't seem like he's happy with the guys. It's Jalen Milroe, who played in a few games when Bryce Young was hurt. And over the past couple of years, he was the expected starter, and right now it looks like Nick Saban's grasping at straws. He's going to go to the transfer portal and steal one of these SC quarterbacks that don't want to play in the Big Ten here in a second.
Yeah, this looks like the Blake Sims era. Those 2 years after McCarron, I think it was. Like they were like, "Oh, who the fuck are we? Oh, I guess he's our best option. We'll throw him out there." And basically, you lose a couple of years, and then you go find yourself a Jalen Hurts of sorts, and you're set up for the long run. Like the run of nice quarterbacks. It was a good run, Alabama. It was a good run, but you're not there anymore.
Yeah, if I was going to pick a team that's going to struggle for losing their quarterback, it's Alabama. It's not Georgia. Because
They
Georgia
have 4 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. 4. And 4 straight years. Like that is wild. I don't think any school can say that right now. I don't think any
Alabama is not considered a quarterback school.
And it's not, yeah, exactly. So it's kudos to what Saban has done, but at some point the run ends. You don't have the best quarterbacks in the country because they don't want to sit behind Bryce Young because he has to play a second year because the NFL has the stupid two-year rule, whatever it is. So yeah, all those guys transferred out already. Think about it. Like I think they had the number 1 recruit. I'm pretty sure he transferred out. Like the quarterback recruit for a couple of years, and they didn't want to sit and they want to play right away. And this is what happens.
Last thing that I want to touch on before we move from college football, it's a little bit closer to home because I know the trivia category tonight is Colorado sports. I'm not saying that CU is going to be ranked, so don't get me wrong. So we're talking about rankings, but let's throw the rankings out for a second. What are your realistic expectations? What do you say is a success for Coach Prime at Colorado? Remember, they only won a game last year, and they have 80 new players coming into the roster. It's the most turnover that we've ever seen at the college football level. He brought all of his Louis with him. I'm just going to tell everybody, winning an extra game in a college football season is a hell of a feat. Winning 2 extra games is sometimes impossible. If you go 3 extra games and get up to 4 wins in this season, to me, that's where I'm sitting right now as like, that's successful. We have something to build upon. And the next year, we got to start worrying about bowl eligibility. So what are your expectations?
My expectations is the expectations in the locker room is that they'll be bowl eligible. Like that's their thought, and I think that's a locker room thought. You look at their schedule. Play Nebraska. Who knows what that will happen? Play CSU. Probably win that one. Oregon probably lose that one. USC lose that one. Arizona State could win that one. Stanford could win that one. UCLA could win that one. Oregon State could win that one. Arizona could win that one. Like I said, there's a handful of games where you're like, oh, could win this. This depends on how good Travis Hunter, how good Shedeur Sanders is. And look, I don't have allegiances in college football, so I'm gonna take my allegiance with CU and see where that goes. But like I said, I think. Like I said, you week 1 is Nebraska for fuck's sake. Like if you can't get up for
week
a week
2
or
week 2 because they played TCU week 1.
Oh, that's right. Either way, that first 2 weeks that is prime time football. You play the team that was in the national championship, and you play one of the oldest rivalries of college football that isn't a rivalry anymore because they don't play each other anymore. But it's still. Nebraska, Colorado. Look at if you're not aware, just look up the old games because they're some of the most hard-nosed football you'll ever watch. And like I said, you get yourself in a position where you win a couple in a row, win against CSU, win against some of these lower-level Pac-12 schools. Things look good. Things look good for you. Like I said, I think the goal is a bowl eligible. I know Primetime is going to say we want to fucking win the Pac-12 championship. But more than likely that's not realistic. I think realistically this team is shooting for a playoff. For not playoff game, sorry, a bowl game. In my opinion, I think that's where the goal should be. I think, like I said, that's the realistic goal. The actual goal is to get yourself to a Pac-12 championship, which would be one of the fucking biggest turnarounds in college football history, going 1-12 to a Pac-12 championship appearance. But like I said, my expectations is 500 football. And go to a bowl game. It's not gonna be a big bowl game, but go to a bowl game and then build this program up from there.
I will personally, I don't know. You'll have to come up with the stipulation, but I'm willing to do a lot of stuff.
They have the talent, Jimmy. Let's not act like they don't.
No. That's what I tried to say at the beginning. Like they will have the players that once they get camaraderie and gelled, that'll be great. And I think that's year 2 of Prime. Year 1 of Prime, just make sure that you don't go 1-11 again. And don't get worse. For God's sakes, don't get worse.
Just out of curiosity, no, they won't get worse. I guarantee you that. They will not win a game this year. You can fucking bookmark that. I will streak across fucking Mile High Stadium or do something stupid if they don't win a game this year. You can write that down. But I don't know what their
I have their schedule pulled up. So here's the exercise that I want to do. I'll say the team that they play, and then you say yes or no as to do you think they'll win at that time. So week 1, first game of the season is at TCU okay.
Just no.
Next game, home against Nebraska.
Yes,
Week
at home
2.
against Nebraska, absolutely. You can bookmark that. I cannot bet on the game, but I will bookmark it at home. Deion Sanders' first game at home. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, they're gonna win that game.
Okay, then you have a neutral site against Colorado State. It's the first time that we had the Rocky Mountain Showdown in a couple of years.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I agree with you. At that point, a realistic expectation should be 2-1. From there, go on the road to Oregon, who's ranked 15th.
That's
currently.
a loss.
Go home against number 6 ranked USC.
That's a loss.
On the road in early October against Arizona State.
That's a win. I will say that Arizona State's program's fallen off.
We say that now, but October is where Pac-12 gets weird. So it could get weird in the fact that CU stays 500 and they're or gets closer to 500 and they're 2-3 at that point. Or it's also realistic to say that Arizona State somehow has a miraculous run to finish their Pac-12 10.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I think it's highly more likely that CU goes on a run than Arizona State this year. I don't think Arizona State's much in college football this year.
I like the confidence, and I wish that I was able to have it with you, but you know what's holding me back? It's
1-12.
Wilson.
I know,
1-11 plus.
1-11,
We thought
whatever
Russell
it was.
Wilson was going to be a Super Bowl champion in his first season.
I did not say that. I said he was going to do good things. We'll be back to the playoffs in his first season. I did not say we were Super Bowl champs. Okay, don't quote me on that.
I
okay?
won't. I won't put.
I did not say that.
I retract my statement, Your Honor. Afterwards, mid-October, home against Stanford.
At home, yes, Stanford is falling off too.
On the road against UCLA.
That's where I think it could be a loss. I think UCLA is a much tougher place.
Okay, so right now we're sitting at 4-6.
But then again, UCLA lost the guy that's starting
Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
So that might be a win. I'll say a loss because Chip Kelly still is there and they got a pretty good program still. So I'll say a loss.
No, they built up. I think that they've got that program. They've had a few guys go to the NFL, and Chip Kelly's been there long enough that they should be at least serviceable, even if they're not in the top half of the country or top 15 like they were last year. From there, home against number 18 Oregon State, and that's your first game of November.
That's going to be probably the toughest game, and that's a game where if CU has fallen off the rails, it's a loss. If they strung together a couple of good wins, it's a game that could be winnable. It really just.
This is week 11, so it's 4-6 right now is the record that I.
Yeah, for the sake of momentum, I will say this is a win.
They win at home against Oregon State, so they're 5-6.
If it was on the road, probably not, but at home, yes.
Okay, so if they're 5-6 by that point, then there's a realistic possibility because you have 3 tries and all you have to do is win one more game to become bowl eligible.
And who are those games?
You have
Utah,
after Oregon State, it's
obviously.
Utah's the last one. So hopefully you secure it before then. But from Oregon State, you go home against Arizona, which could be a win, but last year blew up in our face.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the week after that is at Washington State. And that one, if you're close, that one should be where you're like, this is the deadline. If we don't qualify for a bowl by this time, if we're not 6 wins by this time, then Utah is going to be an issue because Utah at that point is more than likely going to be ready for a Pac-12 championship berth, and they're going to be looking at USC or possibly Oregon coming out of the North. And Utah at this moment is ranked 14th. I'd have to assume that they'll be top 10 by that time in the season because they walk through their Pac-12 schedule just like everybody else does. So it's now that we've done that, you've convinced me that it's a realistic possibility if things go well. If you can beat Arizona State and if you can beat Arizona this year,
you can beat Nebraska too. Like you win those 3 games, like you're definitely going to a bowl game. That's all I'll say.
Those are the swing games. That's where the season can change for the better or for the worse. And if you can get lucky and maybe catch Oregon sleeping, or maybe
catch a Washington or catch a probably not catch it. Maybe catch a TCU like week 1, like where all the hype train is all you and they've lost all these guys. Maybe that might be the
if you can start.
That might be the big shock.
If you start the season 3-0, if they start the season 3-0, then
there'll be a number next to the names. Also, there'll be a number right next to the names.
I'll start singing their praises if they start 3-0. I won't ever put them in one of our top 10 rankings if we start doing that again for the college football season, just to make sure I don't jinx them. But it's been a topic going around, and it seems like the expectations are a little bit out of proportion. So I'm glad we had that.
I'm excited to watch CU football. I legit. Like I cannot tell you the last time I was this excited to watch college football in the state. I used to watch the Red River, or not the Red River rivalry, the Rocky Mountain Showdown every year, and that was about it in terms of Colorado football, CU CSU football. So I'm very very excited to watch how this team plays. And like I said, look, there's some rivalries that are going to be born. Utah, Colorado, obviously something. CU versus Arizona State. Obviously, both those teams, all those teams going to the Big 12 with them. So I'm very excited to see how all that plays out, because these are teams that you're not leaving, that is coming with you that you can build this rivalry up and make these games even more important. Because like I said, the Big 12 is going to be very, very fun to watch in a couple of years, in my opinion. There's going to be a lot of head-to-head battles that you're like, oh shit, that's going to be a good game. Oh shit, that's a good game. Oh shit, that's a good game. That's where they're at with basketball right now. And I think they get to that point with football too. When they add all these big-time schools, so I'm excited. Like I said, first time I've been excited for CU football in a while.
The rivalry I'm most excited about is getting BYU versus Utah back.
Yeah, that should be
the Civil War. The preppy Mormons versus the wild children of Utah. I'm excited. That's so again, just as a reminder, Big 12 is gaining BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, Arizona State, CU, and Utah starting in the 2024 season. So we got to get through another year of the Pac-12, and hopefully it's a good season for CU football. If you're a Colorado native like myself and Nico, be sure to stick tuned for Guess the Bench, because it's all Colorado sports related. And I have some catching up to do, because Nico scored 5 out of 6.
5 out of 6,
because you got the school, but you missed Archie Griffin's name. That's coming up a little bit later on, but we have to talk.
No, we only gave myself 4 because you walked me down to Ohio State. So
I listened back to that, and I was laughing because I was doing similar things with like social studies, and the 12-year-old's like, oh, it was today. We do a Stoic philosophy. I put a quote on the board, and I'm trying to teach him how to interpret it. And yesterday I said, Seneca is the father of Stoic philosophy. And then I go, Seneca, I told you yesterday, he created what kind of philosophy? And on my board, it says daily Stoic meditation on it. And it's on the screen. And they're all just sitting there looking at me like, huh?
I don't know.
I was like,
you're like,
it's on the board.
Or
I held the book up that I get the quotes from. It's like, what are these? Daily writings? No, what do I say they are? Journals. Okay, we're getting further away from what I want.
We're off to a great start this year, kids. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, no, I won't have my work as cut out for me. That's actually a tougher thing that I've tried to do with them. But yes, we will have Guess the Bench. But before that, we need to talk some NFL football. We did the South preview last week. Talked a little bit about the NFC and AFC South. Didn't have high expectations for the AFC South, yet they had at least 2 teams win. I didn't watch the Bucks game, but the Panthers and the
football on right now, Jimmy. What the?
There is preseason football on. Yeah.
I wouldn't know because I work constantly every weekend. It doesn't feel like football season, weirdly enough.
This is true. Our guys over at Out of Your Falcon Mind, shout out VSN at variety_sports_ and at Out of Your Falcon Mind. They had. I tuned into their post-game show because they're diehard enough that they do pregame and post-game shows as well as regular podcasts for preseason. So I give my hat off to them. I couldn't do it myself, but they won. They looked good. Carolina, I think got shut out by the Jets, but I think that the Saints won. I honestly, it was weird, but we didn't have high expectations for either the AFC or NFC South. When we talk about the Eastern divisions, we went from the NFC least 2 years ago to last year. They had 3 teams in the playoffs, and the AFC East was close. If New England would have won a couple more games and didn't give the game to the Raiders that 1 week in the wild lateral. I like to bring that up because I know Darren listens a lot of times, and that was a fun Talking the Gridiron to go on afterwards. That happened, and then we were like, okay, let's hit record. There's like, God, what? Are you kidding me? We're saving the West, but that is the Patriots have a lot of catching up to do. So let's start in the AFC East because they also had the biggest trade or movement over the offseason, and Aaron Rodgers will be the starting quarterback in the Kelly Green, I think is what
they also made a deal this week. Dalvin Cook is now in the Kelly Green as well. He signed on Monday morning. So Breece Hall, rest in peace to those Breece Hall stands after a
Breece Lightning.
Rip it out.
when we went to the game last year, that was that's one of the best plays that I've seen live. When Breece Hall took that little swing pass out of the backfield, I think it got called back, but he like bounced off of 4 defenders. The Broncos couldn't tackle him for whatever reason.
He's a great running back. Unfortunately, he's getting wasted now.
Yeah, I really hope that they should roll share it. I don't know if Dalvin Cook is going to get back to what he was. He's been injured too much, and he never even hit. Like, when he came out of Florida State, he was the next Derrick Henry, and hasn't been the case. So that seems a little unnecessary to me. Like, you could have saved that money, and they've already been talking about picking up Devontae Adams before the trade deadline. That money could have gone to Devontae Adams for Aaron Rodgers. I know that he's good with the guys that he has on the team now, but everybody proved that you don't need a running back.
It's true.
You don't. We had that conversation last week, so why? Why? I'm getting upset for Dom. As a Jets fan, that's stupid.
I would say stupider would be seeing how Nathaniel Hackett uses Dalvin Cook. That's going to be real entertainment value to me. Look, we can start this breakdown right now. I'll be straight up with you. I think the Jets missed the playoffs. It's weird saying that, but I don't think they're not the best team in this division.
No,
I don't think that I think they're struggling to be the second best team behind the Dolphins. And if the Patriots think this Malik Cunningham guy or whatever, who's been a preseason stellar for them, is the next best thing over Mac, like, then they're going to be better than them. Like, look, the Jets all have this hype right now. I remember all this hype last year for a big time quarterback going to a locker room with a lot of young studs, right? A lot of young guys, up and coming guys, right? I remember that conversation last year. I remember it vividly. And this guy is older, a guy who didn't make the playoffs last year either. That's like was not his season ended week 17. So let's not forget that. I will go on a sword say that they don't make the playoffs. I don't think, because look, the Bills are the best team in this division. I even with all Stephon Diggs drama, they still are. I don't care. Like, their defense is still very solid. Obviously, Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things is going to make that team still the best team in this division. Any Jets fans can argue with me on that. I'll say, look what this team is. Look what your organization has done the last 15 years, and let's see what Aaron Rodgers does first. Because look, the Dolphins, I still think that they're up and coming. Up in Tyreek Hill, who knows what Tua looks like. Jimmy, pull up the Jets schedule for me. Look at these first 6 weeks they play. It is a murder's row. Like, if they don't get off to a hot start quickly, they are in trouble. Lay it on.
That week 5 game is going to be the turning point.
We don't need to talk about that game, but go to the rest of the games.
Yeah, no, they start Monday night. They're the Monday night opener against Buffalo, and then they go on the road at Dallas.
Say what you want to say about Dallas. Dallas is a playoff team. That's a tough one.
Home against New England, I think they got that one.
They can win that one, sure.
And then home against Kansas City, so they'll probably be 1 and 3.
First 4 weeks, you're playing 3 playoff teams that were all playing the second weekend. By the way,
you want to know who they play the week after the Broncos?
I don't know.
Philadelphia.
Yeah. So you don't get off to a hot start. If you don't have 3 wins by the time you hit Kansas City in week 6, you're in trouble, is all I'm going to say. And so you better get off to a hot start quickly. And that may be my hot take, but whatever. I think the Jets missed the playoffs because I think that highly of the AFC North, which we'll talk about either next week or the week after in Jimmy's division, and what the Ravens or possibly even the Steelers or Browns could do. And I think that I know, and I think that I don't think this highly, but I think that the Chargers Chargers are a better football team than the Jets, in my opinion. And the Raiders could also be, who knows what Jimmy Garoppolo looks like. But like I said, Jets don't make playoffs. That's my hot take this season. I have it ranked as I have it Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots last. I still think the Patriots are the worst team in the division.
Yeah, I don't think – I mean, the coaching changes that the Patriots made should help because you have guys that actually know how to call offensive plays, and it's not Matt Patricia sucking his thumb as I can't even think of the running back's name, but I just picture like the kid had his controller, and then his mom had – go take the trash out, and he set it down, but when he set it down, he hit too many buttons, and then the ball just – oh, somebody else needs this. No. What are you – it's tied. Go to overtime.
Just take a fall, buddy.
I'm sure you don't watch because of who's associated with it, but I watched Edelman on New Heights, and they asked him about that play. He's like, "What is Bill doing in that meeting?" He's like, "Bro, I was pissed. I was up in the box. I had a few cocktails in me, and I was mad thinking about. Yeah, he probably did. I was mad thinking about like I wanted to rip their ass. I can't imagine what that meeting was like because you get the situation meeting at the Friday before the game. So they went over. If it's this much time left and we're this far away from the goal line,
you just sit down.
Go down.
Go to overtime.
Go down. We don't need to score. I know you don't trust Mac Jones in overtime, but I didn't trust Derek Carr in overtime either.
Chandler Jones stiff arming Mac Jones still gives me life. It's so funny. I hate both
the dirty player, Mac Jones. You remember how he's a dirty player?
God,
he's just tried to deliberately injure 3 guys. That's no big deal. He's the Ndamukong Suh of quarterbacks. He's just not big and strong to make.
That's that, yeah, a lot less intimidating too. a lot less intimidating.
I would say that the Jets are probably going to work out better than what the Broncos did because
I agree, they probably will.
Mr. Goatee-Man is not the head coach, and Robert Saleh has done good things. Like their defense should be good. They should be in a lot of the games that the Broncos were in last year, where it's like 11-17 because you had to kick 5 field goals because your offense literally can't score touchdowns, and you just get close enough that Greg Zuerlein will keep you in the game 3 points at a time, chip. But that people are very high on the defensive line, so I think defensively they'll be way better.
The offensive line apparently is very, very bad. Apparently, Mekhi Becton is fallen off. That the left guard they drafted 2 years ago has apparently not had a great preseason and training camp. So that's like I said, you keep one of the reasons why David Bakhtiari was one of Aaron Rodgers' best friends in Green Bay was because he kept him afloat. When he didn't keep him afloat, look what happened. like things were bad. Things were very, very bad. So you better hope this offensive line can step up for you, New York, is all I'll say.
It is a tough deal to be a MVP caliber quarterback when you don't have at least one all-pro offensive lineman. And when Aaron Rodgers had his back-to-back years, he had David Bakhtiari at left tackle and he had Corey Linsley at center. And they also have a new center in New York. I don't think it's McGovern anymore. I think he's not with that team. So they are going to have some things to work out. I do agree with you, especially because the Bills probably aren't going to have somebody die on the field, and they're probably not going to have to play a game in Detroit because of some wild-ass blizzard that nobody can get out of. You think about that. If they don't have those two things at the end of last season, that playoff game against the Bengals, I'm a lot more nervous about. I had no nerves going into it because they've already, thank God there was a week. Thank God that DeMar Hamlin is back and he's playing. I'm going to say that first because if I didn't, what I was going to say sounded bad. Thank God the playoffs didn't start the week after that whole incident, and they were able to use all of that extra emotion in the last regular season game with the kickoff return to start and getting him to go there. But if those couple things don't happen to end the Buffalo Bills season, I am petrified of what they would do. Yeah, exactly. They would be they would have given anybody fits. And they were at the time that Bengals game was for a possible number 1 seed in the division because they'd both beaten Kansas City, and that whole thing works out. The tiebreaker goes the way that it does, and the NFL makes whatever arbitrary decision, and the Chiefs were number 1 seed. It could be a totally different experience if those few things didn't happen.
A whole different trajectory of who won the Super Bowl last year if that didn't happen, which is crazy, but that's the truth of it.
Let's move over to the NFC, which is where the champion of this conference last year and Super Bowl runner-up resides from. The Philadelphia Eagles, 14-3 last season. Cowboys were second with 12-5 record. Giants snuck into the playoffs in a wild card at 9-7-1. Brian Daboll did really good things with not a lot. Like I was mentioning, they were having to cut and re-sign trainers off of the street just to make sure that they were under the salary cap. They were in such bad salary cap management last year. So he did a lot with not very much. And Washington,
Let me remind you, won a playoff game. Jimmy's girlfriend that's listening won a playoff game. I'll remind you, okay?
Yeah, I was just shocked when the Giants. I was as surprised as when the Vikings beat the Saints. Remember when they did that to them when the Saints were the home team? I was not expecting it. Well, I kind of thought it could happen, but I wasn't expecting it to work out that perfectly. But Washington finished last year with an 8-8-1 record. They tied the Giants for their one tie on the season. The good thing about being a Washington fan is you no longer have Daniel Snyder. The Daniel Snyder tapped you out. We talked about the Wolf of Wall Street scene where he's on the phone and he's doing all the gestures behind. That was Dan Snyder for the last 20 years to the whole entire Washington District of Columbia. If you're a Commanders fan / football team / Redskins fan in the time that he's been the owner, celebrate the fact that he's gone, but understand
your team is still gonna reap the benefit, not the benefits, reap the unfortunate repercussions of what this team will be.
It's so comical how much he took advantage of you. He bought the team for like $800 million and just sold it, and it's a bad franchise. And he had ticket fraud, and he didn't share as much revenue as he should have. So all of these things, yet he still made like a $4.5 billion profit and sold the team for over $6 billion. Not quite as much as what the Broncos sold for, but oh my God, this is a bad team, and they're not even going to keep their mascot. The ownership group is already talking about going back to the football team.
A football team, or give me something like you really need to get rid of this stench. I agree, maybe keep the same colors so you have that going on for you, but like get rid of the fucking stench of the past. Like you have to do something because that's how low your organization was and how bad it is.
They need to redo the Sean Taylor celebration because Dan Snyder screwed that up along with Jackson Mahomes. So they need to redo that. They could redo a lot. And yeah, rebranding the team. They went with the one name that nobody voted for. Like we wanted Red Hawks, Red Tails,
Red Wolves.
Red Hogs.
Come on, just give me something other than fucking Commanders.
Yes, please. I don't want to root for the commies. I can't root for the commies. This is not a thing that as an American, you can't do. Can't do it. Was Mike Singletary? Can't do it. Won't do it. Get him out of here. Can't do it. I'm going to assume you're also picking them to be last this year as well.
Yeah, I'm picking them last. My rankings, I have Eagles one still. I still have them as best team in the division. I don't think there's anyone that should argue that. I think DeAndre Swift addition is going to be even bigger for them. I think that's going to be huge for them. I think Devontae
Jalen Carter is the steal of the draft because they got him later than they should have, and he looks really good at the NFL level.
Look at the Georgia defense basically on the NFL side.
Yeah,
and right now it's hard to pick anyone outside the NFC to beat the Eagles right now. Like that should be the NFC favorite, plain and simple. So I have them number one. Number two, I'm gonna have the Cowboys. This is an interesting year. This is a make or break year, in my opinion, for Dak because Jerry Jones is losing his patience very quickly. Very quickly. So you better hope you get in the playoffs. You better hope that you win some games because, look, you lose Zeke. You let Zeke walk. You hopefully Tony Pollard takes that next step. Zach Martin, you were able to luckily ink out a deal with him this past weekend. Like, you better hope you take that next level because Mike Parsons is that all world of a talent defensively. So I hope they do. I'm gonna do Giants third. I think only two teams make playoffs. I think it's Cowboys and I think it's Eagles. I don't think the Giants. I think Giants had so many off the field problems with Saquon. Like, they got enough problems on their hands. Like I don't think that they're too worried about that. So I think last year was a fluke. So I give two teams in playoffs: Eagles, Cowboys, and it goes Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders.
So you still have fantasy drafts coming up, or have you drafted for all the leagues that you're going to?
I still have some coming forward.
Okay. Keep this name in mind. I hope that you saw at least his highlight because it was all over social media. Deuce Vaughn is going to be. I do have him in my keepers league. I expect him to be a factor in fantasy because it's that same Darren Sproles-esque. He's going to be a kick returner. He's going to be a punt returner. So you'll get yards and points for that. And I think he's probably going to score more times than you would assume. He's going to be that little utility weapon. And he'll be a steal because a lot of guys, if you didn't watch Big 12 and you didn't watch Kansas State football, you have no idea. But he's 5'6", which more probably like 5'4", if they could list you 5'6", and 176 pounds with a brick in each pocket. And he's running between people's legs. He scored. I don't know if he scored. I can't remember if he scored, but he had a couple big plays over the weekend, and he's going to take the load off of Tony Pollard now. Let's see. 8 carries, 50 yards, and a touchdown. So he did score. Keep him.
Dude,
That's a good draft.
His dad's a coach too. If you're in a deep league with more than like 14 teams, I would say yes. He may be a waiver wire pickup guy when it comes to later in the season though. I said Tony Pollard would get most of the reps, but Deuce Vaughn definitely.
Just
Yeah,
keep his name on your list, especially
keep him bookmarked. Keep him bookmarked.
And running backs are so hard, anyways. I hated drafting running backs in our league last year because I thought I drafted well, and then that guy doesn't even play. Like Cam Akers never stepped foot on a field for the Rams, and that was like a 4th round pick. I could pick Deuce Vaughn this year, and he might not have that. I don't know if I draft him, but like if that happens again, where I got to drop a Cam Akers, I could pick up a Deuce Vaughn and actually get better.
That's true. That is true. I said
there's your fantasy talk.
There's your fantasy talk of the week.
I'll go ahead and get the background changed. I won't forget that this time. You brought the questions. I'm the one that's on the hot seat this week. It's trivia time.
It is trivia time, and we had the college football last week. Jimmy brought the college football in. We had the NFL Hall of Fame 2 weeks ago. We had I forgot what the one was before that.
UFC, MMA.
UFC, MMA for this one. Since there was a big sporting event here in Colorado that obviously here at Peter Barton Stadium, and then obviously the reigning defending world champion Denver Nuggets are still located in this beautiful state. So we're going to bring it up with some Colorado sports knowledge. I will say, if you asked me these questions before I looked them up, and majority of them I knew, I would have gotten 4 out of 6 correct. There's two that I definitely that are a little tough, but if you're a Colorado sports fan, these are tough. But I'm a little bit of a nerd, so and I will say I cover all aspects of it. So it's not all world champion Denver Nuggets questions. It's not all Colorado Avs questions. It's a little bit of everything. But since they are the world champions, you can bring it back up on the screen while I ask the question. I'll wait for it.
I got it. I gotcha. Here we go.
Thank you. Since the world champions, Denver Nuggets. First question. The Denver Nuggets have 4 jerseys retired. Jersey numbers retired. Eventually, number 15 will be up there, but that's for a later discussion. Number 12, Fat Lever. Number 40, Byron Beck. Number 44, Dan Issel. And this number, worn by David Thompson. What number is retired by David Thompson and the Denver Nuggets?
Oh, boy. Do I get a range or do I have to hit it on the dot?
You get 2 up or down.
Okay. Basketball numbers are normally fairly low.
Think of numbers that haven't been used by players. So if you think of number number 1,
Nico, I don't watch enough. I don't watch enough Nuggets basketball to know what numbers there aren't there. We're coming out of the gate strong. I'm just gonna chalk everything that I don't get right up to the fact that I'm tired from school today and my brain's not working.
Throw a guess out. You threw out a guess last time and it wasn't a bad guess, and I'm pretty sure you hit it on that with one of these numbers questions. I'm giving you 2 up or down.
Yeah. I want to go. I'm probably going to sound like an idiot, but I haven't seen a 21, maybe 21.
21. Can you do something for me, buddy? The answer is number 33. David Thompson wore number 33. 21 actually is worn by Colin Gillespie. Funny enough, he was.
Okay.
So 21.
A guy that we're looking forward to this upcoming season. That's why I had the number in my head. It wasn't that I had nothing else to pick from. I was going to go with 20, but I was like, there's got to be a 20. Or that's one of the other numbers.
And I'm actually wrong in that. Number 2 is also retired. There's 5 numbers. It's 12, 40. Number 2 is Alex English. My mistake on that. But
you could have.
We were looking at the number for David Thompson Moore that's retired. It was number 33. I bet your dad might have got that one, honestly. He was a big-time sports figure for a long time. He was the face of Denver sports for a while, obviously, before Elway stepped in the building. But.
And my dad played basketball instead of wrestled, so he probably watched a little bit more than I did.
That's fair. Next question. We got a Rockies question for you. A Rockies question. This is an interesting one.
So excited. I'm not hitting myself at all.
In the 2007 World Series, the Rockies obviously made it. Their lone World Series appearance. This infielder, the infield had star talent across the board, including this third baseman who had a home run in the final game of the 4-game sweep by the Boston Red Sox over the Colorado Rockies. Who was that third baseman for the Colorado Rockies?
Oh my God. I used to have this, and it's totally like I remember Tulo, I remember Hilton, obviously, I remember Ubaldo.
Yeah.
I can't think of the catcher. I can't think of the second baseman. I know Holiday. Who played behind Holiday? Iannetta would have been one of the catchers, so it wouldn't have been him. Can I have a nationality? Do you have that? Or
I honestly
name?
do not have the nationality, but I will.
It's not a common name, right? It's not like
not
just
a common name. Like he really didn't do anything else for anybody else. Like I'm pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure he was a lifer Rocky.
Can I get like the first initial of the first and last name?
No, because that's going to give it away.
There's no way.
I'll give you the number he wore because I think that because the initials will give it away. I think he I'm pretty sure he wore 27.
Son of a Did he play another? He didn't play for another team.
Jimmy, you're asking the baseball guy, the wrong person to ask about baseball questions. Yeah, he did.
I'm supposed to be the baseball voice. Nolan Arenado.
The answer is Garrett Atkins.
Oh, I did. I would have. Yeah. No, I did used to know his name.
And funny enough, that's a question I would have got correctly because I was at Game 4, and I remember that being the sole little hope that we had in Game 4 of winning a game. And I was like, because I was at Game 4, we were like, oh, Garrett Atkins hit a home run as a 2-run, and we were like, I think the game was tied, and then Red Sox obviously finished the game.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
I listened to those games. I listened to that playoff run on the radio because that was the first year I was playing with you guys, and we were driving for 45 minutes. So I've heard, like, we used to listen to every game on the way to and on the way back. Like on the fifth innings, they would give you the vodka. Like if it's the bottom of the fifth, and if you're at the bottom of your fifth, you should definitely call somebody to drive you home. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. You had 5 vodkas, 5 of them.
No shit.
Yeah, call somebody to drive you home. You can't drive, please.
Help somebody here. All right, I got the next question is an Avs question. I think you may be able to get this one. It's a common one, but you may be shooting yourself in the foot here. Which Avalanche player famously wore number 26 before the Avs drafted Denver University's alum Paul Stastny, 44th overall in 2005? So what player wore number 26 and was still on the team? He played on the team. He switched his number. Paul Stastny took over 26 into the next following season. So that's my clue for you. He is still on the team. He just switched numbers. I'll give you another clue because I
need a position. A position.
He's a defenseman.
Is he long tenured? Like a long time Av?
Obviously. Yeah, he played for a lot of years. He played, I think, 10, 12 years. And he played around, like, I want to say 6 or 7 with the Avs. Longest time in his career was with the Avs, so we'll say that.
I'm thinking that it might have been because it's obviously a guy that's good for the team. So he was a leader, and I heard really good things. Is it Foot? Did he possibly wear 26 and then change to 52?
I'll give you a double chance here because Footer wore 52 and 52 is retired. So no, that is incorrect.
Eric Johnson.
The answer, you're gonna hate yourself. John Michael Lyles, altitude's own. John Michael Lyles wore 26, switched to number 4 when Paul Stastny came into the team. Obviously, DU guy.
I forgot about that part of the Chicklets interview. I did hear him. Yeah. No, I told you I was going to hate myself. I told you one last week.
Hey, I know these are tough. I'm giving you some tough ones because I felt like you would have known these, but I'm mistaken on this one. So next one, University of Colorado question. A CU question. This is probably the toughest one I think I gave you, but the other ones were much tougher. The University of Colorado has 29 national championships in its history. What sport holds 20 of the 29 national championships? I'll tell you right now, it is not a major force sport, and it's not a sport that is nationally televised for collegiate.
Skiing and snowboarding.
Skiing is the answer. I'll give you that point. 20 national championships in skiing. for the University of Colorado.
We would send Gunnison Western would send our really good skiers on our club team, and when they competed, they would compete for CU. So that one I would know because I spent too much time in the middle of the mountains in the winter.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
I know nothing about Colorado sports history, but I know a lot. I know a shit ton, way more than I should about everything else.
Niche questions. These are niche questions. Like if you're a diehard sports fan, you of these teams. Which you're not.
I would say
like
I would say like diehard of the Denver area. I have so many family members that would be good at this because they've lived here.
They're all like, Jimmy, what the fuck? How did you not know that? How did you not know that? How did you not know that?
I know McNichols used to be the name of the arena. Shut up, Grandma. Okay, you don't need to give me that much crap.
You're not wrong. No. All right, the niche question. It's a Broncos question. Jimmy said, "Give me '90s and 2000s Denver Broncos." He said he was a bigger fan of the Broncos back then, so that's all I'm gonna say. All right, there were 12 quarterbacks who started for the Denver Broncos from the moment Elway retired to the moment Peyton Manning stepped on the field for Denver Broncos, and I believe it was 2013, maybe 2012, whatever it was. Which two quarterbacks started the most amount of games during that span?
I want to say
there's 12 quarterbacks. We're looking for the two quarterbacks that started the most amount of games between when Elway retired and Peyton started his career here in Denver.
Greasy should be one, right? He's one
of them. I'm gonna wait until you give me both answers because it's not fair to say yes to one.
So the ones that I remember directly and the early 2000s, I guess I'm missing a little bit because it goes Elway, it goes Greasy for a while. Plummer was there in 2005, which was the last time they contended for a Super Bowl before Peyton was there. Yep. Tebow had quite a few starts, but it was only for one season, so I'm not going to say it was him. Kyle Orton and Jay Cutler throw a little bit of a wrench into things.
I know, that's where it gets tough.
Man, how long was he here before Rick Daniels fucking traded him? Jesus. I'm going to say Greasy and Jay Cutler.
You got one of the two correct. Brian Greasy was the number 2. Number 1 answer was Jake Plummer with 54 starts.
He played 50. I thought he was only here for like a season.
He was.
Damn, they were good when he was here.
Let me find out the exact number because I had the list.
It's got to be like 2003 to 2005.
Let's see.
2006.
So, Brian Greasy, 1999 to 2002. Jake Plummer, 2003 to 2006, where he started.
I overthought it. Damn it! I had it.
11 games, 16 games, 16 games, and then 11 games, and then so the next two after that. So not kick yourself that badly. Jay Cutler was 37. Brian Greasy had 41 starts. But Jay Cutler was very, very close to Brian Greasy. So it was Jake Plummer with 54, most starts. Brian Greasy with 41. Jay Cutler with 37, and Kyle Orton was 4th with 23. So you were on the right track the whole time. You had all the right guys. You just mixed up.
I'm going to explain what you said before you said that niche question. I did start my life off. I was a Broncos and a Broncos fan only. My grandpa has had season tickets in our family for a long time, like 30 plus years. We moved the Thunder. My parents have the towel that says we helped move the Thunder from Old Mile High Stadium to now Empower Field to Mile High. So I was diehard then. And I knew Jake Plummer was the reason I was a Broncos fan. I loved Jake the Snake. Because my dad was like, yeah, his nickname is Jake the Snake. And at the time, I was like, oh, it rhymes. Jake the Snake, Jake the Snake. But honestly,
we had a coach whose cat was named Jake after Jake Plummer.
I forgot about that.
Jimmy. It was all there.
I thought that he was, because I remember more of the Tebow, because Tebow was then that was the first big sports debate that I remember is should we trade for Manning or should we bring back Tebow? That was like a legit debate people had.
I have a question. Take a guess on how many games Tim Tebow started for the Denver Broncos. This isn't a question. Actually, it's a bonus question. I'll give you a bonus question. I'll give you a point if you get within 1.
I'm going to say 9, possibly.
He started 14.
Really?
3 in 2010 when Kyle Orton started the first 13 games. Tim Tebow started the last 3, and then 11 in 2011 where he started 11 and Kyle Orton started 5.
It's hard. I was trying to count for the playoff game, but I guess he only won the one playoff game.
These are all regular season. Sorry,
Regular
I
season,
guess I should have also done that.
No, I trust me. I know what I'm talking about, and if it wasn't, it's the pressure gets to you. That's why people have had the $1 million question in their hand, and then it just Regis Philbin goes and blows it away. And that's what Niko did today. He's like, "Oh, you have a chance? You think you're going to win the NFL Pick'em this year?"
I feel like I wasn't too difficult on the questions, was I? Was I that?
Oh, I had before you got to, and the Avalanche question even was like,
I feel like you could have got to the Avs one. The CU one that was good.
John Michael Lyle wasn't like a household
but he's on
name.
TV now for the Avs, and you see.
We don't have altitude.
That's fair.
We haven't had altitude since he's been on the channel. So I saw him. I saw him from Chicklets.
Hold on,
That was the last time that I saw him.
Let's do a bonus question. Which quarterback started the most amount of games from Peyton Manning to Russell Wilson? And I'll give you a point.
Trevor Siemian.
Hold on.
I think it's I'm going to say
13.
Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, it was 24. Trevor Siemian.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the extra point there. I feel bad. I really fucking
pity point.
Pause on this. Railed you on those questions. I thought, like I said, I live and die these teams. So like I knew the Rockies one probably would have stumped me if you asked me it straight up. But I would have been, oh fuck, I should have known that one. I would have known David Thompson. I would have known John Michael Laz because I'm that niche with jersey numbers. And I would have, and then the CU question would have got me, would have stumped me too. But I would have guessed Plummer and I would have guessed Cutler. I wouldn't have guessed Greasy.
The CU question, I got the CU question because of the skiing, but it was the jersey numbers, and I guess now with the show, I'm trying to pay a little bit more attention to what I haven't. But I was never like so diehard focused in on a team. I was always focused in on like the sport that was going on. So during football season, I just paid attention to the NFL and college football. And then up until like I love the Avalanche, but now I'm paying more attention and can pick up more about that. And the Nuggets, you're like me to you for Nuggets is like a college professor trying to have a conversation with a 3-year-old. I hope you realize that. I think that you gave me too much credit. I could fake a lot.
I gave you the players' names. That's what you've been to Ball Arena, so like all you got to do is look. Oh, that number.
I do. I look up and go, oh, that's a basketball jersey. I don't. That's a basketball jersey. That's a basketball jersey. That's a basketball jersey.
October 20. What day is it? October 26th. There'll be another banner in Ball Arena. Is all I'll say.
That one I'll pay attention to and I'll take a mental picture. But I have not.
Nice and shiny, and I will just. I cannot wait.
I should. Also, being a wrestling coach and having a kid wrestle at Ball Arena in the state tournament. Yeah, I had plenty of time to look up and. I should have, silly me, I should have studied for the test. As a teacher, I should say that. If you don't want to feel what I'm feeling right now, study for your test.
We had a bonus episode where I talked about the jersey numbers retired and how Jokic could be I had an article I wrote about jersey numbers retired, and David Thompson's number was the first one retired.
I totally, I was locked in right here when you were right here. No, I had the little, the little wind up monkeys with the cymbals. That's when I try and think of basketball trivia. That's what goes down. I knew Dikembe. I thought you were going to tell me what team did the Nuggets beat as the 8th seed.
Look, my jersey question obviously was flawed because 55 is also retired. There was more numbers retired, but I did specify the player's jersey number that I wanted to retire. Because let me look at the questions I had. Because I had 12 Fat Lever, 40 Byron Beck, which is a weird one. Dan Issel 44, Dikembe 55. I was thinking it was 2, but David Thompson.
I actually know the name Dan Issel. Because one of the like audio punches that 104.3 has, somebody goes, "What in the name of Dan Issel?" But I didn't know that he was a player. I just thought
he was a player and a coach. He was not Bill Russell. He was not Jackie Moon, but like he played for us and then he coached for us. So it was kind of like that.
Jackie, could you like write me a check on the normal one?
Because laugh all you want about Jackie Moon, but that was a real thing. Players, there was actually back in the day, coaches that were actual players. Like that was not something that was separate.
He brought us nachos from home. I'm trying to run a business here. You got to dribble when you move, Jackie. But he brought nachos.
Semi-pro still top 3 Will Ferrell movies, and anyone can fight me on that. It's
my
like
favorite basketball movie.
It's kicking and screaming. It's
Step Brothers.
Semi-pro and Step Brothers. I would argue put Elf in there, but those are my.
You
3.
could Wedding Crashers because he has a very memorable role in.
Look, the lineup
Crashers.
is too good. Okay, I can't. It's hard for me to pick 3, but that's how highly.
Get Hard as a recent one. Oh, Daddy's Home. I love Daddy's Home, both 1 and 2.
Very underrated.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg is funnier than people give him credit for. That's true. Now that we've gotten everybody to turn off the show, I think that's anything else that we want to.
After Jimmy put up 1 point or 2 points, he put up 2 points. When you put up 2 points,
I got
Greasy,
I got the skiing. I got half of the bonus, and then you gave me a bonus.
Yeah. That's right.
If you're gonna give me the pity point, I'll
give you the pity point. I'll give you the pity point.
So it's currently the score is 10-9. Just know that it's a lot worse than
it really should be 11-8.
The score is not indicative of how the game looked.
I expect you to come at me. Pause on this before I even say it. Come at me hard next week with the tough questions, because I thought I gave you easy one, but like I said, they were in-depth questions. So give me.
I may veer and not even do sports. I'll think about it. Okay. You'll have the category before, but I have.
Give me the cross, and I'll tell you right now, I'll go 0 for 6. I'm kidding you. I play this.
I'd have to do more studying to come up with questions to ask you. Then I don't know if I could.
That's fair. Probably good just avoiding that.
Probably better radio that way. That's going to do it for us here, episode 147. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you missed parts of it, if you're watching the videos on our social media or on our YouTube page, head back, watch the full video. It's posted on YouTube. It's also going to be up on the Variety Sports YouTube channel, and you can watch the video if you listen on Spotify. It's available audio-wise on every other podcasting platform. Please follow, leave a rating, 5-star rating, and a review. We haven't had one of those in a while. If we get reviews, we read your review and give you a shout-out on the show. So if you have something that you want to get a shout-out for, real simple. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. Unfollow, refollow, unsubscribe, resubscribe. Like the video, leave a comment. Come at us on social media or tell us what you enjoy. Like we did a lot more lacrosse this week because somebody on Twitter said, or X said that they love the lacrosse content. So if you like it, we'll do our best to talk about it. Nico's in his lacrosse jersey, and he works for the goddamn PLL league. Okay, he works for the league, so we should take advantage of this.
We're making a deep run, and we will. And look, I won't think about football until September 25th. Because our championship game is on September 24th, which is a Sunday of football. Fuck, I didn't realize that. That's terrible for ratings. But you didn't hear that, my boss. I'm sorry. I apologize. But yeah, PLL final on September 24th.
We'll be looking forward to it. Make sure you catch Sunday Scaries this Sunday, and then catch us next week for another episode of Far End of the Bench. For myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host Niko Bryan. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.